Zava got the beat knocking.
Long life and abundance, brothers and sisters. My name is Jeremy. In today's video, I'll be sharing my psychology setup and trading. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys haven't watched the previous video where I share a little bit about my journey and a little bit about my technical analysis and how I tackle the market technical wise, you guys could check that previous video. And this video, I'll be sharing my psychology setup. So there we go. A famous quote in trading that you will hear a lot of traders know about is being successful as a trader is 30% strategy and 70% psychology. And I would agree, and in most cases you would also hear traders say, it's probably 90% psychology. And in the more of the story, what I believe we all trying to say too, that psychology plays a big role when it comes to trading, and which means to me that you can have a winning strategy and still not be consistently profitable. And in a lot of those cases, you just see sometimes you see somebody making money, and then you go and they teach you and you learn and you try to apply it, and you go through difficulty getting that consistent profitability in the long run. And here is where I realize psychology again plays a huge role, and we don't use psychology to our advantage. So I want to share with you guys four important things that I focus on when it comes to psychology. So having a probabilistic mindset, mindfulness, how does the brain work, and the three P's to be a successful trader. Let's get right into it. So probability mindset. So means accepting that there is more than one possible result that may happen in the future. So when I take a trade, or in most cases, when you take a trade as well, you realize that you believe that the trade can be a winner. And a probability mindset is saying, no, you have more than one possible result. And in this case, if you believe that you're going to win, which in most cases you will feel like you got a winner because you did everything that you're supposed to do, you thinking that it's only going to be a winner is only thinking one way. And having a probabilistic mindset or having a probability mindset, you see where you have, like I highlighted there, there's more than one possible result. So in that case, is either you're going to win or you're going to lose. So that's two possible results. And in other cases, you'd also hear people saying that they could win, lose, or even break even. So the more of the story that having more than one possible outcome is basically the answer of just having that probabilistic mindset. So every trade I put in, I always see it that in that way, what don't matter is that I win or I lose. And what matters is that I take the trade with all my confluences. Once I take the trade with all my confluences, the trade was a great trade. Another thing with a probability mindset that I also lean on is the law of large numbers. So also the definition in probability theory, the law of large numbers is a mathematical theorem that states that the average of the results obtained from a large number of independent and identical random samples converge to the true value if it exists. So, one thing that I lean on when it comes to the law of large numbers is the long term longevity of a profitable system. So what you tend to realize with the law of large numbers is a large sum of trades. So probably when you're having like a winning week or a winning streak or a winning month, I mean sorry, a losing month, you tend to realize that it don't always stay that way, but within time you tend to make back that money and more when you stick into your parameters. So that's with the large numbers you notice in the long run with the more trades that you always become, it always stabilize itself. So that's something that I lean on when it comes to the large numbers. So all of these things is having a probability mindset. So, mindfulness. Mindfulness is a type of meditation in which you focus on being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment without interpretation or judgment. Let me mention as well, shout out to the Knowledge Academy with these informations. Also Google as well with the definition. So you guys could go and check out these things for you guys self. So yeah, mindfulness, what how I like to break it down, simple for myself, is emotion regulation and being in the present. So I break down three things of each that I personally focus on that keeps me mindful of myself and calm myself when it comes to trading. So emotion regulation, acknowledge. So you can see where acknowledge is accept or admit the truth, sorry, accept or admit the existence or truth of. So one truth in trading that I had to accept is that you're going to lose, and that was one thing that was very hard to accept. I always thought that I could have know exactly every trade that going to play out, and it's always a reason for which, yes, there's a reason, but at the same time you can't run from a loss, and that is just how the game of trading and in an environment of probability. So that's an acceptance and something I had to acknowledge, and something I always go back to acknowledge that in trading you're going to lose, and that is why you have a structured um plan, and that is why we have these things in countable so we can stay mindful of ourselves. So another one I also stick to is breathing. Breathe. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. I mean, as simple as it sounds, you would realize when it comes to trading, when you feel like you anxious, you tend to realize that your heartbeat racing a lot faster. You realize you're breathing a lot faster, and how to calm down yourself without having to spend money on stuff. You can breathe literally, and most of those things you just need to take some time on and breathe. And what you would tend to realize is that you tend to become more calm. So inhaling and exhaling. And the last one is positive affirmation. Positive affirmation also keeps me mindful and keeps me in peace. So one of them I can share with you guys that I also have here. And when I say positive affirmation, I mean like you having these things amongst you, if it's on your phone, on your laptop, on your wall, on your fridge, to keep you when you in that state of mind of frustration, you can go back into that calmness. So one of them I'm gonna share. Stop worrying about the future. Free yourself from worrying about the unknown future and trust your ability to handle whatever comes your way. So that's a positive affirmation I'm gonna share with you guys. And then being in the present, gratitude. So appreciate what you have. Appreciate what you do have. So one thing about gratitude, it takes me in the moment, because when I'm grateful for what I have. I'm not grateful for what I don't have yet. You understand? I'm grateful for what I have and where I reach. So in trading, being in the present, mindfulness when I'm not focused and I really stress, going back to these things of grateful, it puts me back into, okay, at least I reached this far, and even though I may not be where I want to be, I'm working towards that. And I'm grateful for the stuff that I do have, you know? So another one is understanding you don't have all the answers. So I have here as well certain things meant to be lessons. In other words, we just try to prevent a lot of things from happening, which I'm not saying to not try to prevent things, but it's certain things that you can't prevent. And in other words, that's why I'm saying here with you don't have all the answers. And in trading, sometimes like myself, I used to go through like, oh, I didn't know this or I didn't know that. But then, sometimes I have to realize that, yo, I gotta be grateful. At least now I know, because if I didn't went through those things, I wouldn't have known. So that's why, like I said, certain things just meant to be lessons. And when you understand that, you could be more in the present. You understand it? Again, put yourself back in that positive and driven rev for yourself that you can keep going. And the last one is meditation practices or prayer. So, like I say, if you already have a religion, whatever it is good, is good for you, because I could understand it would help you when you're going through stressful times in trading. It could help you to be more focused and you could get back to what you're supposed to do. Let's get it. So, how does the brain work? So, the brain sends and receives chemical and electrical signals throughout the body. Different signals control different processes, and your brain interprets each. The reason why I still feel that I'm mentioning these things, because, like I said, it's just a grasp understanding, like I said, that we should have still as people, as individuals, because we all have a brain and we all have thinking, emotions, and we should have a idea to understand how this thing look. So this part here that I'm showing you guys is basically three parts of the brain that you can find also on Google. That we have the cerebellum, the piece here in the back, the brain stem, and the cerebrum. And then on this picture here on top, you could see the function of these three parts of the brain. So like we mentioned, the brain stem, the function is breathing, heart rate, and temperature. And then we mention the cerebellum, this blue part, which is here. The function is balance and coordination. And then the last, which is the biggest piece, which is the cerebrum, which is these four parts that we also can go. Um, I can go in this video. I just gonna go into the temporal loop, which is the hearing, learning, and feelings. Then we have the frontal lobe, where we have thinking, memory, behavioral, and movement, which is the biggest part, which is in front. In front. Um, the parietal lobe, where we have language and touch, and the occipital lobe, where we have sight. The reason why I have like this Ninja Turtle picture here is just to show you that we have different parts of our brain, and they plays its own role. And when it play a role by itself, it's like you is handicapped, and you need to work together in order to function your best. And that's why I like that picture there with all four of them, hugging each other and happy, because you need all of these things working together in order to, sometimes feeling and working the right way. So the part I want to go into, like I mentioned earlier, is the temporal loop, which is the yellow part. Mm, yeah. And in there we have the limbic system. I ain't gonna go into all the components of the limbic system. The limbic system is the part of the brain involved in our behavior and emotional responses, especially when it comes to behaviors we need for survival, feeding, reproduction, and caring for our young, and flight or flight responses. So two other things that also in the area of the temporal lobe, which is the amygdala and the hippocampus, which you can see in the picture here, which is these two, amygdala and the hippocampus, where the amygdala um, is a major processing of emotion, and the hippocampus is where we have the learning. So, like I said again, the whole limbic system altogether is the involve our behavioral and emotional responses. So I want to talk about these behaviors. So they have a couple behaviors in trading and also in life that we talk about, which is flight or flight, survival mode, and psychological blind spots. Fight or flight is a well-known stress response that occurs when hormones are released in your body, prompting you to stay and fight or run and flee. Danger. So, an example in trading to me of fight and flight or flight is basically over trading. And that happened constantly with me when it comes to being so like angry like with the markets and with yourself that you tend to just want to make back probably the money that you lose, or you probably just don't care no more, and you reach just to a point that you just want to make the money back and you start over trading. And that's a fight or flight response that also affect in our trading. Another one is in survival mode, stress has been prolonged to a degree where a person feels unable to relax. Parts of the brain associated with fear are overactive. For that, for me, example is closing too soon. Why that for me is like in my setup and the way I trade, like you already know where your stop loss is. You already know where your TPs is. And sometimes you just say, okay, look, cool, let me just watch the charts. And then you start watching the charts and you just feel yourself checking like, yo, you thinking about the last trade or you thinking about the last week trade. And now you're thinking about how the market had moved the last time, and now you start to become fearful that that's what might happen this time. So you're checking like, okay, cool, let me close the trade, and then you see the trade hit your TP. Oh, and in those cases, closing too soon, I consider that when you're in the survival mode, you stress like you can't like relax and sit on and like just leave the trade do its thing. You feel like the trade can go bad and you gotta watch your trade before something. And that's a stress for me, a survival mode that just keeps me like understand like it can happen. And that's why these things is quite normal, and that's why you gotta really regulate these things. Going back to the previous slides and with regulation, emotional regulation, and mindfulness. And the last one is psychological blind spots. So, a psychological blind spot is a persistent lack of awareness concerning an aspect of one's personality and or behavior. So, in trading, an example for me is lack of journaling. So we all as individuals have psychological blind spots. So like where you as an individual should spend more time observing yourself. A lot of us spend a lot of time watching other people, observing other people, looking at other people, but they're not observing themselves. And that has a lot to do with psychological blind spots. And in trading, that has to do with journaling, because you're not journaling. You really can't see your like stuff that you are doing over and over that's sabotaging your trading. So there's where I feel with more journaling you can help with that, with those psychological blind spots that we all have. So these are the three things that I wanted to share with you guys. And the last, no, the one before the last, a alligator. I wanted to talk about an alligator because an alligator is an ambush predator, and not only an ambush predator, it is like one of the best ambush predators. That if you go on YouTube or you go on any of those programs and you go and see how an alligator does really hunt, is really magnificent, because that's exactly the way my mind look at trading and the way my setup is. So ambush predators are typically characterized by stalking or sitting and waiting for their prey to come by and then launching a surprise attack on it. While pursuit predators generally actively search for and chase their prey over a short or long distance. So one way either see will either start stalking the market is when I already do my analysis. So when I just do my analysis is in a weekend. So every weekend I just do my analysis for the following week, right? So once I do my analysis, I ready for the week. So I already know which pairs I'm going to be focusing on for the next week, and I already know from those pairs, the levels and the areas I expect in the market to come to. So from that, you just waiting, you understand? And once you waiting and it reach there, you grab it and just like that, where I see with the alligator, just like that is how I have my mindset and my psychology as an alligator hunting. That's exactly how I look and I find and I start my trades mentally, so it's all about patience, 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 and waiting for the market to come to you. And that's one thing I also wanted to share. And the last but not least, the 3 Ps. So before I start, I want to shout out to Miss Padedes, because actually how this all started, I was like, I want to find like 4 Ps or 3 Ps or I didn't want it to have 2 Ps, but I basically find 2 words I really like, which was persistence and perseverance. And I just wanted to find one more word, and it's crazy enough because I find this lady, which you could find her whole name at the bottom, and she had the 3 Ps, which the other word was passion. And I love it, and I have it also. Shout out to you as well. I don't have exactly what she has, but I just have the definitions, and for me, why these 3 Ps words is will take you successful in trading, and all of this again has to do with your mindset. So, passion, a strong and intense emotion towards a particular activity, interest, or goal. It is a deep seated love and dedication that often drives individuals to pursue their passions relentlessly. So, you can see in green, I highlighted. So, a strong and intense emotion. Like you need to feel it when you're doing whatever it is that you say you want to do. And like I highlighted particular activity, interest, or goal. Like it should be particular, like it should be specific. And that specific thing giving you that strong feeling. And then we have the last word there, the relentless. Like you need to be relentless. Like you need to keep going regardless. And then another word, persistence, the act of pursuing a course of action with the same energy and consistency. So you see that I highlight with persistence, the same energy and consistency. And you could notice that in the beginning. Most of the time, we as individuals, as people, we just always feel a lot more interest in the beginning. We just have a lot more drive in the beginning. So that's the persistence, the same energy and consistency. So now they have here with perseverance is the ability to maintain that same energy and consistency through the process of overcoming painful circumstances. So with perseverance, you've seen it have a lot to do with now maintaining. And then with maintaining, it has a lot to do with overcoming painful circumstances. And with me, when I say it's like you need to learn how to like try all you can, lose, and still keep going, and when you can keep going, it shows that you have perseverance. So if you can have these 3 things, passion, persistence, and perseverance when it comes to trading. If you in the beginning and you're struggling, you will accomplish trading because you have that in you. You have that passion, you have that persistence, and you have that perseverance, you know? But like I said, if you don't probably have these things, I don't know what I could tell you, but I could tell you if you feeling these strong, intense emotions and all of these things when you doing whatever it is you want to do, but in particular in trading, I would say you will achieve it. So, like I said, always start in your mind. You accomplish once you have these three things and you go relentlessly. I hope you guys enjoy this video. That is the end of it. Hope you guys enjoy. I have the next video dropping, which will be about risk management and how exactly I just do my risk management. And if you guys enjoy that video, subscribe because I got more content. Like and share. Peace.